How are you guys doing? Today is Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances that took place yesterday on Tuesday, September 21st. And of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today at this time of the year as the MLB season draws to a close, as teams are fighting for playoff positioning and teams are slowly getting etched out of that picture. At the same time, the WNBA playoffs are right around the corner and the soccer seasons are just underway as well. Also, week 3 of the NFL season kicks off tomorrow, but I'm going to get to that tomorrow. Looking into what happened yesterday, starting with the MLB in Detroit, the Detroit Tigers hosted the AL Central leading Chicago White Sox, and then the Tigers would end up beating the White Sox 5-3 after scoring 3 of their 5 runs in the 7th inning. And for the Chicago White Sox in this matchup, the start was given to their elite starting pitcher, Dallas Keuchel. Keuchel allowed 2 earned runs and 11 hits in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 2. The loss would end up going to the White Sox first relief pitcher, Jace Fry. Jace Fry would allow 3 earned runs and 1.2 innings pitched. He would get pulled in the 7th inning, and with this loss, he's 0-1 on the season. In the White Sox batting lineup, their their elite shortstop, Tim Anderson, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Their center fielder, Luis Robert, went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Their elite first baseman, reigning American League MVP, Jose Abreu, went 2 for 5. And then their designated hitter, Yoan Moncada, went 2 for 4. For the Detroit Tigers, the start was given to Tyler Alexander. Alexander would allow 2 earned runs and 5 innings pitched as he struck out 2. The win would go to the Tigers' second relief pitcher, Brian Garcia. Garcia allowed no earned runs and 1.1 innings pitched. He would finish the 6th and 7th innings for Detroit. With this win, he's 3-2 on the season, and the save would go to the Tigers' closer for the day, former American League Rookie of the Year, Michael Fulmer. He allowed no earned runs and 1.1 innings pitched as he would finish the 8th and 9th inning for Detroit. He would strike out a batter in that stretch. And like I said, his 11th save of the year. In the Tigers batting lineup, their left fielder, Akil Baddoo, would go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Their designated hitter, Robbie Grossman, would go 2 for 5 with a run. Their third baseman, Jeimer Candelario, would go 2 for 4. Their shortstop, Nico Goodrum, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. Their right fielder, Daz Cameron, would end up going 3 for 3 with 2 runs. And then their center fielder, Victor Reyes, would end up going 4 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. With this win, the Detroit Tigers are now 74-78. That is the 3rd best record in the American League Central. They've won their last 4 games. They've won 7 of their last 10. But at the moment, they are now the 6th team in the American League who has been eliminated from playoff contention, as they sit alongside the Baltimore Orioles, the Texas Rangers, the Minnesota Twins, the Kansas City Royals, and also the Los Angeles Angels. With this loss, the Chicago White Sox are now 85-66. That is the best record in the American League Central. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 6 of their last 10. They sit 10.5 games ahead of the second-place Cleveland Indians in their division, and at the moment, they're holding on to that 3rd playoff spot in the American League, as they are sitting behind the 1st seed Tampa Bay Rays, and they're sitting behind the 2nd seed Houston Astros at the moment. Jumping out to Cleveland, the 2nd team in that division, the Indians hosted the Cleveland Royals, and to keep themselves alive, they were able to pull off a 4-1 win, scoring all 4 of their runs in the first 2 innings. For the Kansas City Royals in this matchup, the loss would go to their starting pitcher, Daniel Lynch. He allowed 4 earned runs in 6 innings as he struck out 5. With this loss, he's 4-6. In the Royals batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their elite second baseman, Whit Merrifield. He would go 2 for 3 for the day. For the Cleveland Indians, the win went to their starting pitcher, Cal Quantrill. He allowed 1 earned run in 6.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 6 batters before he was pulled in the 7th, and with this win, he's now 7-3. The save would go to the Indians' closer, Emmanuel Clase. He would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out 2, and this would be his 24th save of the year. In the Indians batting lineup, the only player with a multi-hit game was their second baseman, Ernie Clement. Clement went 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 3rd home run of the season. With this win, the Cleveland Indians are now 74-76. That is the second best record in the American League Central. They've won 5 of their last 10 games as they sit 10.5 games behind the division-leading Chicago White Sox. And at the moment, with this loss, the Kansas City Royals are now 69-83. That is the 4th best record in the American League Central. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games. They trail the Chicago White Sox by 16.5 games in the division. And at the moment, they are one of 6 teams in the American League who have been eliminated from playoff contention. And jumping out to Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Reds hosted the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates would end up beating the Cincinnati Reds 6-2 as the Pirates would come from behind. They would end up taking the lead in the top of the 5th as they were trailing 2-1. It would be a Cabrian Hayes single to tie the game, and then a Cole Tucker RBI single to give the Pirates the lead. And then 3 runs in the 8th later, they would pick up their 57th win of the season, possibly spoiling the Reds' season a little bit. For Cincinnati, the loss went to their starting pitcher, Tyler Mahle. He would allow 3 earned runs in 4.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 6 batters before getting pulled in the 5th inning, and with this loss, he's 12-6. In the Reds' batting lineup, their left fielder, Max Schrock, would end up going 2 for 5 on the day. Their shortstop, Kyle Farmer, went 3 for 4 with a run. Their elite third baseman, Eugenio Suarez, went 2 for 3 as he hit his 18th double of the season. And then for the Pittsburgh Pirates, the win would go to their starting pitcher, Mitch Keller. Keller would allow 2 earned runs in 5.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 2 batters before getting pulled in the 6th inning, and with this win, he's now 5-11 on the season. In the Pirates batting lineup, their third baseman, Ke'Bryan Hayes, went 3 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Their catcher on the day, Michael Perez, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. With this win, the Pittsburgh Pirates are now 57-94. That is the worst record in the National League Central as they've won 6 of their last 10. They now trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 34 games in the division, and they are one of 5 teams in the National League who have been eliminated from playoff contention at the moment, as they sit alongside the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Washington Nationals, the Miami Marlins, and the Chicago Cubs. With this loss, the Cincinnati Reds are now 78-74. That is the 3rd best record in the National League Central. They've lost 7 of their last 10 as they sit 13.5 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers in the division. At the moment, they are trailing the St. Louis Cardinals by 4 games for that second National League wildcard spot. They are the first team on the outside of the picture looking in at the moment. Jumping out to Miami, the Miami Marlins hosted the Washington Nationals. In this matchup, the Nationals would beat the Marlins 7-1 after the Marlins scored the first run of the game in the 5th inning. The Nats would take the lead in a 4-run 6th inning, and then eventually run away with the 3 more runs in the 9th inning to give them their 62nd win. For Miami, the loss would end up going to their starting pitcher, Trevor Rogers. Trevor Rogers allowed 4 runs in 5.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 10 before getting pulled in the 6th. With this loss, he's 7-8 on the season. In the Marlins batting lineup, their shortstop, Miguel Rojas, would end up going 2 for 3 on the day. And then also their catcher, Nick Fortes, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run on the day. He hit his 2nd home run of the season. For the Washington Nationals, the win would go to their starting pitcher, Josh Rogers. Josh Rogers would allow 1 earned run off of 5 hits and 7.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 4 before getting pulled in the 8th. With this win, he's 2-0. In the Nats batting lineup, their elite right fielder, Juan Soto, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI. Their catcher, Keibert Ruiz, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. And then their second baseman, Luis Garcia, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. With this win, the Washington Nationals are now 62-89. That is the worst record in the National League East as they've won 4 of their last 10. They sit 18 games behind the division-leading Atlanta Braves, as the Nats are one of 5 teams in the National League who have been eliminated from playoff contention. With this loss, the Miami Marlins are now 64-87. That is the 4th best record in the National League East as they've lost 5 of their last 10. They trail the Atlanta Braves by 16 games in the division, and they are also one of 5 teams in the National League who have been eliminated from playoff contention, just like the team that they just lost to. Jumping out to Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Phillies hosted the Baltimore Orioles, the holders of the worst record in baseball going into this matchup. And then the Phillies would end up beating the Orioles to make sure that the Orioles continue to have the worst record in baseball and share it with the Diamondbacks. The Phillies would beat the Orioles 3-2. Going into the 10th inning, the game was tied at 1. In the top of the 10th, Austin Hayes' RBI double would put the Orioles up to 1, but then it would be a 2-run walk-off triple from JT Realmuto to give the Phillies the two runs they needed to beat the Orioles and to keep their playoff hopes alive. For the Baltimore Orioles in this matchup, the start was given to Connor Green. Connor Green would pitch the first inning of the game, allowing no earned runs, allowing a hit and striking out 2 batters. The loss would end up going to the Orioles closer for the day, Cesar Valdez. Valdez would allow 2 runs in .2 innings pitched. He would strike out a batter as he wouldn't even make it through the 10th inning. This would be his 5th blown save of the year. With this loss, he's 2-2. In the Orioles batting lineup, their all-star center fielder Cedric Mullins went 2 for 5. Their second baseman Pat Vallejo went 2 for 4. And then for the Philadelphia Phillies, the start was given to Adonis Medina. Adonis Medina would allow 1 earned run in 3.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 3 before getting pulled in the 4th. The win would go to the Phillies closer for the day, Ian Kennedy, the closer they acquired from Texas. He would allow 1 run in the last 2 innings of the game in the 9th and 10th innings. He would strike out a batter in that span. With this win, Ian Kennedy is 3-1 on the season. In the Phillies batting lineup, their elite right fielder Bryce Harper went 2 for 4 with a run. Their all-star catcher JT Realmuto would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their left fielder, former National League MVP Andrew McCutchen, went 2 for 4 with an RBI. And their third baseman Freddie Galvis went 2 for 4. With this win, the Philadelphia Phillies are now 77-74. That is the second best record in the National League East, as they've won 6 of their last 10 games. They trailed the division-leading Atlanta Braves by 3 games in the National League East, as they trailed the St. Louis Cardinals by 4.5 games for that second National League wildcard spot. The Phillies are the second team on the outside of the picture looking in, as they still sit half a game behind the Cincinnati Reds. With this loss, the Baltimore Orioles are now 48-103. That is the worst record in the American League East. That is the worst record in the American League. And they are tied with the Arizona Diamondbacks for the worst record in all of baseball. They have lost 8 of their last 10 games. In their division, they trailed the Tampa Bay Rays by 44.5 games in the division. They sit along 5 other teams in the American League who have been eliminated from playoff contention. Those teams being the Texas Rangers, the Minnesota Twins, the Kansas City Royals, the Los Angeles Angels, and the Detroit Tigers. And with this, right now, that is virtually where they stand at this moment. Jumping out to the Bronx, the New York Yankees hosted the Texas Rangers, and the Yankees were able to pull off a 7-1 win to keep their playoff hopes alive, scoring 3 runs in the 7th to, of course, make their lead just burst wide open. For the Texas Rangers, the loss would go to their starting pitcher, Dane Dunning. Dane Dunning would allow 2 earned runs in 2.2 innings pitched, striking out 3. With this loss, Dunning is 5-9 on the season. In the Rangers batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their first baseman, Andy Ibanez. He would go 3 for 4 on the day. For the New York Yankees, the win would go to their starting pitcher, Jordan Montgomery. He allowed 1 earned run off of 4 hits in 5.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 6. With this win, he's 6-6 on the season. In the Yankees batting lineup, their elite designated hitter, Aaron Judge, would go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run. He would hit his 36th home run of the year. Their elite right fielder, Giancarlo Stanton, would end up going 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his 31st home run of the year. Their left fielder, Joey Gallo, would go 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 38th home run of the season. With this win, the New York Yankees are now 85-67. That is the 4th best record in the American League East. They have won their last 2 games, and they've won 6 of their last 10. They trailed the Tampa Bay Rays by 8 games in the division, and right now they trailed the Toronto Blue Jays by half a game for that second American League wildcard spot. They are the first team on the outside of the American League wildcard picture looking in. With this loss, the Texas Rangers are now 55-96. That is the worst record in the American League West, the second worst record in the American League. They've lost their last 3 games, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. In their division, they trailed the Houston Astros by 35 games, and they are one of 6 teams who have been eliminated from playoff contention in the American League. Jumping out to Boston, the Boston Red Sox hosted the New York Mets. The Red Sox were able to beat the Mets 6-3, scoring all 6 of their runs from the 4th through the 6th inning after the Mets had already taken the lead. The Boston Red Sox would take the lead in the bottom of the 5th, thanks to a 2-run home run from their all-star shortstop, Xander Bogaerts. Quickly looking into what happened with the Mets, the loss would go to their starting pitcher, Marcus Stroman out of Duke. He would allow 4 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 3, and with this loss, he's now 9-13. In the Mets batting lineup, their elite their elite designated hitter, Pete Alonso, would go 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 34th home run of the season. Nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. That would be attributed to great pitching from Boston. For the Red Sox, the start was given to Eduardo Rodriguez. Rodriguez would allow 2 earned runs in 4.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 5 before getting pulled in the 5th inning. The win would go to the Red Sox first relief pitcher, Ryan Brazier. Brazier would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitch as he struck out a batter. With this win, he's 1-1 on the season. In the Red Sox batting lineup, their all-star shortstop, Xander Bogaerts, would go 2 for 3 with 4 RBIs and a run. He hit his 23rd home run of the season, and that was the home run that gave the Red Sox the lead. And then their first baseman, Bobby Dalbec, would go 2 for 4 with a run. With this win, the Boston Red Sox are now 87-65. That is the second best record in the American League East. They've won their last 6 games. That is the longest win streak in the American League and the second longest win streak to the St. Louis Cardinals at the moment. The Red Sox have won 7 of their last 10 as they sit 6 games behind the Tampa Bay Rays in the division, and they are holding on to that top American League wildcard spot, sitting a game and a half ahead of the second place Toronto Blue Jays at the moment. With this loss, the New York Mets are 73-78. That is the 3rd best record in the National League East. They've lost 7 of their last 10 as they trail the Atlanta Braves by 7 games in the division. They are currently, like I said, they are still in the playoff hunt technically, but this time next week, I'm not sure if they will be. Jumping out to Tampa Bay, the holders of the best record in the American League, the Tampa Bay Rays hosted the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays were able to beat the Rays 4-2. The score would be tied after 5 innings going into the top of the 6th. The Blue Jays would take the lead off of a sac fly from Bo Bichette, and then a Teoscar Hernandez RBI single in the 8th inning would give the Blue Jays just what they needed in order to stay in the playoff picture for the time being. For the Tampa Bay Rays, the start went to Drew Rasmussen. He allowed 2 earned runs and 4 hits in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 3. The loss would go to the Rays' first relief pitcher, Nick Anderson. He would allow 1 earned run in the 6th inning as he was unable to strike out a batter. With this loss, he's 0-1 on the season. In the Rays batting lineup, their second baseman, Brandon Lau, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. And then their all-star catcher, Mike Zunino, would go 2 for 4 with a run. For the Toronto Blue Jays, the win would go to their starting pitcher, Alek Manoah. He allowed 2 earned runs off of 5 hits in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 7. With this win, he's now 7-2 on the year. The save would end up going to the Blue Jays closer, Jordan Romano. He allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out 2. He would also walk 3 batters, which is a little bit concerning, but he still picked up the win. He would pick up his 20th of the year. In the Blue Jays batting lineup, their elite first baseman, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., went 2 for 4. Their left fielder, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., went 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs as he hit his 21st home run of the season. And with this win, the Toronto Blue Jays are now 85-66. That is the 3rd best record in the American League East. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. They trailed the Tampa Bay Rays by 7.5 games in the division. And right now they are holding on to the 2nd American League wildcard spot, sitting a game and a half behind the Boston Red Sox, who are holding on to that first spot. And they sit half a game ahead of the New York Yankees, who are holding on to the first spot on the outside looking in, just to show how close the wild card picture is and just how important that win was. With this win, the Tampa Bay Rays are now 93-59. That is the best record in the American League East, as they've lost 6 of their last 10 games. They sit 6 games ahead of the second place Boston Red Sox in the division, and right now they're holding the number 1 seed in the American League, sitting ahead of the 2nd seed Houston Astros and the 3rd seed Chicago White Sox for the time being. Jumping out to Chicago, the Chicago Cubs hosted the Minnesota Twins, and in this matchup between two teams that have already been eliminated from playoff contention, the Twins would end up beating the Cubs 9-5. For the Cubs in this matchup that had no deciding factor on the playoffs this season, the loss would go to their starting pitcher, Alec Mills. Mills would allow 7 runs in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 4. With this loss, he's 6-7. In the Cubs batting lineup, their center fielder, Rafael Ortega, went 2 for 3 with 2 runs. Their left fielder, Ian Happ, went 2 for 5. Their catcher, Wilson Contreras, went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run. Contreras would go on to hit his 21st home run of the season. And then for the Minnesota Twins, the start went to Griffin Jax. He allowed 3 earned runs in 3 innings pitched as he struck out 6. The win would go to their first relief pitcher, Kyle Barraclough. He would allow no earned runs in 1.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 3 before getting pulled in the 5th. With this win, he's 2-0 on the year. In the Twins batting lineup, their center fielder, Byron Buxton, went 2 for 5 with 2 runs. Their third baseman, former American League MVP Josh Donaldson, would go 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. Their right fielder, Max Kepler, would go 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their left fielder, Nick Gordon, would end up going 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his 3rd home run of the year. And then their catcher for the day, Mitch Garver, would end up going 3 for 5 with an RBI. With this win, the Minnesota Twins are now 66-85. That is the worst record in the American League Central. They've won 4 of their last 10. They trailed the Chicago White Sox by 19 games in the division. At the moment, they are one of 6 teams in the American League who have been eliminated from playoff contention. With this loss, the Chicago Cubs are now 67-84. That is the 4th best record in the National League Central. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games, and they trailed the Milwaukee Brewers by 24 games in the division. At the moment, they are one of 5 teams who have been eliminated from playoff contention in the National League. Jumping out to Milwaukee, the National League Central leaders hosted the hottest team in baseball, the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals would end up beating the Brewers 2-1 in a very well-pitched game. For the Milwaukee Brewers, the loss would go to their all-star starting pitcher, Brandon Woodruff. He allowed 1 earned run and 2 hits in 6 innings pitched, striking out 10. With this loss, he's 9-10 on the season. In the Brewers batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. That would be attributed to great pitching for St. Louis. For St. Louis, the win would go to their starting pitcher, Jake Woodford. Woodford would allow no earned runs and 2 hits in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this win, Jake Woodford is 3-3 on the season. The save would end up going to the Cardinals closer, Giovanni Gallegos. Gallegos would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter. This would be his 11th save of the season. In the Cardinals batting lineup, their second baseman, Tommy Edman, went 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. He would be the only player on the Cardinals with more than 1 hit. With this win, the St. Louis Cardinals are now 81-69. That is the 2nd best record in the National League Central as they've won their last 10 games. That is the longest active win streak in the major leagues right now. They trailed the Milwaukee Brewers by 9.5 games in the division. And right now they are sitting 2nd in the National League wildcard spot, sitting 15.5 games behind a LA Dodgers team who's already clinched a playoff spot. So while competing for the only playoff spot up for grabs, they are sitting 4 games ahead of the Cincinnati Reds, who are the first team on the outside of the picture looking in, just to show how comfortable the Cardinals are following this very impressive win streak, or in the midst of this amazing win streak. With this loss, the Milwaukee Brewers are now 91-60. That is the best record in the National League Central still. They've lost their last 3 games, and they've lost 5 of their last 10. They sit 9.5 games ahead of the second place St. Louis Cardinals in their division. And right now they're holding on to the second playoff seed at the moment, trailing the first seed San Francisco Giants and sitting ahead of the third seed Atlanta Braves. Jumping out to Denver, the site of the 2021 MLB All-Star Game, the Rockies would host the defending World Series champs LA Dodgers, and the Dodgers would end up beating the Rockies 5-4. The score would go into extra innings tied at 4, and then at the top of the 10th, it would be an RBI single from future Hall of Famer Albert Pujols to give the Dodgers win number 97. For the Colorado Rockies, the start was given to Antonio Senzatella. He would allow 4 earned runs in 6 innings pitched, striking out 3. The loss for Colorado would go to their closer, Jhoulys Chacín. Jhoulys Chacín would allow no earned runs in the 10th inning as he struck out a batter. With his loss, he's 3-2. In the Rockies batting lineup, their first baseman, C.J. Cron, went 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. He would be the only player on the Rockies with more than 1 hit. For the defending champs, the start went to Julio Urias. Urias would go on to allow 4 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 5. The win would go to the Dodgers' third relief pitcher on the day, Kenley Jansen. Jansen would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter. With his win, he's now 3-4. The save would go to the Dodgers' closer for the day, Alex Vesia. Vesia would allow no earned runs. He just needed to get 1 out to finish out the 10th to pick up his first save of the season. In the Dodgers batting lineup, their all-star second baseman, Trey Turner, went 2 for 4 with a run. Their left fielder, Gavin Lux, would go 2 for 4 with 2 runs, as those were the 2 players with more than 1 hit. With this win, the Los Angeles Dodgers are now 97-54. That is the second best record in all of baseball, but unluckily for the Dodgers, it is the second best record in the National League West. They've won their last 3 games, and they've won 9 of their last 10. They currently trail the San Francisco Giants by 1 game for the best record in all of baseball and for the division, and they are sitting in first place in the National League wild card, as they have already clinched a playoff spot, sitting 15.5 games ahead of the second place St. Louis Cardinals at the moment. And this is while the Cardinals are on a 10-game winning streak, by the way. With this loss, the Colorado Rockies are now 70-80. That is the 4th best record in the National League West. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 3 of their last 10. They trailed the San Francisco Giants by 27.5 games in the division at the moment. Jumping out to Anaheim, to the team that actually played in Los Angeles, the Angels hosted the Houston Astros, and the Astros would end up beating the Angels 10-5, as they would score 7 runs between the 5th and 6th inning in that stretch. For the Angels, the loss would go to their starting pitcher, Patrick Naughton. Naughton allowed 4 earned runs in 4 innings pitched, striking out a batter. With this loss, Naughton is 0-3. In the Angels batting lineup, their all-star designated hitter, Shohei Ohtani, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. He would hit his 45th home run of the season. And then their left fielder, Phil Gosselin, would go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run. He hit his 7th home run of the season. For the Houston Astros, the win would go to their starting pitcher, Jose Urquidy. He would allow 4 earned runs in 5.1 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With his win, he's 8-3 on the season. In the Astros batting lineup, their elite second baseman, Jose Altuve, would go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 29th home run of the season. Their first baseman, Yuli Gurriel, would go 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Their third baseman, Aledmys Diaz, would go 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 8th home run of the season. And with this win, the Houston Astros are now 90-61. That is the best record in the American League West. They have won their last 3 games, and they've won 8 of their last 10. They currently are sitting 8 games ahead of the second place Oakland Athletics in the division, and they are holding that second seed in the American League playoff picture, trailing the first seed Tampa Bay Rays and sitting ahead of the third seed Chicago White Sox for the moment. With this loss, the Los Angeles Angels are now 72-79. That is the 4th best record in the American League West. They've lost their last 5 games, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. Their 5-game losing streak is actually the longest losing streak in the American League, and it is the longest losing streak in all of baseball at the moment. Like I said, they lost 7 of their last 10. They trailed the Houston Astros by 18 games in the division, and the Angels are one of 6 teams in the American League who have been eliminated from playoff contention. Jumping out to Oakland in the Bay Area, the A's hosted the Mariners, and in this slug out for at least a chance at that second American League wildcard spot. The Mariners would beat the Athletics 5-2. The big difference would be their 3-run fourth. For the Oakland Athletics in this matchup, the loss would go to their starting pitcher, Paul Blackburn. Paul Blackburn would allow 3 earned runs. He would allow 4 runs in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this loss, Paul Blackburn is 1-3 on the season. In the A's batting lineup, their center fielder, Starling Marte, would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 12th home run of the season. He's the only player on the A's with more than 1 hit. Also, their first baseman, Matt Olson, would go 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run. Matt Olson hit his 37th home run of the season yesterday. For the Seattle Mariners, the win would go to their starting pitcher, Marco Gonzalez. Gonzalez would allow 2 earned runs and 4 hits in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this win, he's now 9-5 on the season. The save would go to the Mariners closer, Drew Steckenrider. Steckenrider allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning. This will be his 10th save of the season. In the Mariners batting lineup, their shortstop, J.P. Crawford, went 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. He hit his 9th home run of the season. Their third baseman, Kyle Seager, went 2 for 5. And with this win, the Seattle Mariners are now 82-69. So are the Athletics. The Mariners have won their last 3 games. They've won 5 of their last 10. The A's have lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 5 of their last 10. With this record, they are tied for the second best record in the American League West, trailing the Astros by 8 games in the division, and they both sit 3 games behind the Toronto Blue Jays, who are holding that second American League wildcard spot. Both teams are tied for that second spot on the outside looking in, as they still trail the New York Yankees by 2.5 games, and the Yankees are the first team on the outside looking in. Jumping out to Phoenix, the Arizona Diamondbacks hosted the Atlanta Braves, and the Braves would go on to help the Philadelphia Phillies and make sure that the worst teams in baseball continue to have the worst record in baseball. The Braves would beat the Diamondbacks 6-1 yesterday as they added 9 hits. For the Arizona Diamondbacks, the loss would go to their starting pitcher, Luke Weaver. Luke Weaver would allow 5 runs in 6.2 innings pitched as he struck out 7. With this loss, he's 3-6. In the Diamondbacks batting lineup, their second baseman, Ketel Marte, went 2 for 5. Their third baseman, Josh Van Meter, went 2 for 3. Their shortstop for the day, Ildemaro Vargas, would end up going 2 for 4. And then for the Atlanta Braves, the start was given to Jesse Chavez. Chavez would allow no earned runs in 1.1 inning pitched. The win would go to the Braves' first relief pitcher, Drew Smyly. He allowed 1 earned run in 3.1 innings pitched as he struck out 4. With this win, Drew Smyly is now 10-4 on the season. In the Braves batting lineup, their elite first baseman and reigning National League MVP, Freddie Freeman, would go 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Additionally, their third baseman, Austin Riley, would go 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he would hit his 30th home run of the season. Their elite second baseman, Ozzie Albies, would go 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his 29th home run of the season. Their catcher, Travis d'Arnaud, would go 2 for 4 with a run. And their shortstop, Dansby Swanson, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI. With this win, the Atlanta Braves are now 79-70. That is the best record in the National League East. They've won their last 3 games, and they've won 5 of their last 10. They sit 3 games ahead of the second place Philadelphia Phillies, and they are holding on to that 3rd seed in the National League playoff picture, trailing the 1st seed San Francisco Giants and the 2nd seed Milwaukee Brewers. With this loss, the Arizona Diamondbacks are now 48-103. That is the worst record in the National League, the worst record in the MLB as a whole, and definitely in the National League West. They've lost their last 3 games. They've lost 7 of their last 10. They now trail the San Francisco Giants by 50 games in the division. That is the gap between the best and worst teams in baseball. And they are one of 5 teams in the National League who have been eliminated from playoff contention, as they sit alongside the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Washington Nationals, the Miami Marlins, and the Chicago Cubs. Last but not least, jumping out to San Diego, the San Diego Padres hosted the San Francisco Giants, the holders of the best record in baseball, and the game would be tied going into the top of the 9th, and then the San Francisco Giants would end up taking the lead thanks to an RBI single from Lamont Wade. For the San Diego Padres in this matchup, the start would go to Joe Musgrove. He would allow 5 earned runs in 5.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 6 batters before getting pulled in the 6th inning, and the loss would go to the Padres closer, Mark Melancon. Melanson would allow one earned run in the ninth inning as he was unable to strike out a batter. With this loss, he's now 4-3. In the Padres batting lineup, their elite shortstop Fernando Tatis Jr. went 2 for 5 with an RBI. Their elite third baseman Manny Machado would go 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He would hit his 25th and 26th home runs of the season yesterday. Their catcher, Austin Nola, will go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. And their pitcher, Joe Musgrove, would end up going 2 for 2 as a hitter yesterday. For the San Francisco Giants, on the other hand, the start went to Kevin Gausman. He allowed 4 earned runs in 4 innings, striking out 3. The win would end up going to the Dodgers setup relief pitcher, Tony Watson. He would allow no earned runs and strike out 2 batters in the 8th, and with this win, he's now 6-4. The save would end up going to the Giants closer for the day, Tyler Rogers. Rogers would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter, and with this save, he now has 13. In the Giants batting lineup, their first baseman, Brandon Belt, went 2 for 4 with a run. Their future Hall of Fame catcher, Buster Posey, went 2 for 4 with an RBI. Their right fielder, Lamont Wade Jr., went 2 for 5 with an RBI. And then their third baseman, former American League MVP, Evan Longoria, would end up going 2 for 4 on the day with a run. With this win, the San Francisco Giants are now 98-53. That is the best record in the National League and the best record in all of baseball. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. They sit 1 game ahead of the second place LA Dodgers in their division, just to show how closely the Dodgers are on their tail. But right now, they're holding on to that number 1 playoff seed, sitting ahead of the 2nd seed Milwaukee Brewers and the 3rd seed Atlanta Braves, as the Brewers and the Dodgers have already clinched playoff contention in the National League. Those are the only 3 teams that have already clinched a playoff spot. With this loss, the San Diego Padres are now 76-74. That is the 3rd best record in the National League West, as they've lost their last 4 games. They've lost 8 of their last 10. They trailed the San Francisco Giants by 21.5 games in the division. And at the moment, the Padres are trailing the St. Louis Cardinals by 5 games for that 2nd wild card spot. The Padres at the moment are the 3rd team on the outside looking in. They sit a game behind the Cincinnati Reds, and they sit half a game behind the Philadelphia Phillies, as the Padres were the team that have been holding that position for the majority of the season, but now they've fallen out. That is what the MLB is looking like following yesterday's matchups, and looking forward to what's going on today. At 12:35, Luis Castillo and the Cincinnati Reds are going to host Connor Overton and the Pittsburgh Pirates. At 1:10, Casey Mize and the Detroit Tigers are going to host Reynaldo Lopez and the Chicago White Sox. Reynaldo Lopez enters this matchup with a 3-3 record, holding a 3-flat ERA. Casey Mize is going to take his home mound, holding a 7-8 record and a 3.64 ERA. At 3:10, Luis Patino and the Tampa Bay Rays are going to host Julia Merriweather and the Toronto Blue Jays. At 6:10, Logan Allen and the Cleveland Indians are going to host Carlos Hernandez and the Kansas City Royals. Carlos Hernandez enters his matchup with a 6-2 record, sporting a 3.9 ERA. At 6:40, Elise, I'm really going to butcher this dude's name. Elieser Hernandez and the Miami Marlins are going to host Josiah Gray and the Washington Nationals. At 7:05, Zach Wheeler and the Philadelphia Phillies are going to host Keegan Akin and the Baltimore Orioles. Zach Wheeler enters his matchup with a 14-9 record, holding a 2.83 ERA on the year. At 7:05, Corey Kluber, the elite starting pitcher for the New York Yankees, is going to take the home mound versus Taylor Hearn and the Texas Rangers, as the Yankees are still fighting for playoff positioning. Corey Kluber enters his matchup with a 5-3 record, holding a 3.68 ERA. At 7:10 on ESPN, the Boston Red Sox, led by their elite starting pitcher Chris Sale, are going to host Taijuan Walker and the New York Mets. Walker entering this matchup 7-10. Chris Sale is going to take the home mound, holding a 4-0 record and a 2.40 ERA on the season. At 7:40, Kyle Hendricks and the Chicago Cubs are going to host Joe Ryan and the Minnesota Twins. Kyle Hendricks enters his matchup with a 14-6 record, holding a 4.81 ERA. At 7:40, Brett Anderson and the Milwaukee Brewers are going to host Miles Mikolas and the St. Louis Cardinals. At 8:40, Herman Marquez and the Colorado Rockies are going to host the elite Walker Buehler and the defending World Series champs LA Dodgers. Walker Buehler enters his matchup with a 14-4 record, holding a 2.39 ERA. German Marquez takes the home mound with a 12-10 record alongside a 4.16 ERA. At 9:38, Jansen Junk and the LA Angels are going to host Luis Garcia and the Houston Astros. Luis Garcia comes into this matchup with a 11-7 record, holding a 3.37 ERA. At 9:40, Cole Irvin and the Oakland Athletics are going to host Chris Flexen and the Seattle Mariners. Chris Flexen enters his matchup with a 12-6 record, holding a 3.66 ERA. At the same time, at 9:40, the Arizona Diamondbacks, led by Merrill Kelly, are going to host Ian Anderson and the Atlanta Braves. Anderson enters his matchup with a 7-5 record, holding a 3.75 ERA. And then last but not least, at 10 o'clock on ESPN, Vince Velasquez and the San Diego Padres are going to host Scott Kazmir and the San Francisco Giants. That is what the MLB is looking like going into today's matchups. And with no football, I'm going to jump directly into what was going on with soccer. Jumping out to Spain, in La Liga, Atletico Madrid was able to take 3 points on the table after beating Getafe 2-1, thanks to a second-half brace from their elite Uruguayan striker, Luis Suarez. With this win, Atletico Madrid sitting 1 point ahead of Real Madrid in the La Liga table, but they've played one more match. So if Real Madrid wins their next matchup, they could retake the top of the table. Looking at the other leagues that were active, in Italian Serie A, Inter Milan was able to beat Fiorentina as the Serie A champs, were able to get 3 points in their table. Their second goal will come from Edin Dzeko, their third from Ivan Perisic. With this win, Inter is sitting on top of Serie A by 1 point over Napoli, but Napoli still has yet to play their fifth game. Inter has played one more game than Napoli. And then taking a look at what's going on with the Carabao Cup in England, this is one of the two domestic leagues, and the Carabao Cup consists at least of teams in the top 4 leagues in Britain, and the EFL League consists of teams from all levels. But regardless, specifically in this matchup, Manchester City was able to beat Wycombe Wanderers 6-1. They would get 1 goal from their elite Belgian midfielder, Kevin De Bruyne. They would get 2 goals from Riyad Mahrez, their Algerian forward. Phil Foden, their young talented midfielder, would score a rocket. Ferran Torres, the Spanish striker, would score, and then Cole Palmer, one of their newest young signees, was able to score in the 88th minute. Liverpool was able to beat Norwich City in order to advance to the next round. And just giving a quick glance, this would end up being the 3rd round of the Carabao Cup. So Liverpool would advance past Norwich to make it to the 4th round of this tournament. 2 goals would come from Minamino, their young Japanese forward. And those were the big games that took place yesterday. Taking a look at what's going on in the world of soccer today, as it's in the middle of the week, but Champions League isn't going on. Starting off in La Liga, it looks as though Real Madrid is going to face off against Mallorca. With a win here, Real Madrid could retake the top of the table, as they sit only 1 point behind Atletico Madrid. A draw could see them tie, so that's why a win is probably important for them here. In Italian Serie A, Juventus is going to face off against Spezia. At the moment, Juventus is sitting 18th in the table, so a win would actually do a lot for this Italian side. AC Milan is going to face off against Venezia FC, and AC Milan right now is sitting 3rd in the table. A win here could tie them with Inter Milan at the top of the table momentarily. And then in France, PSG is going to face off against Metz, as a win here could see them push themselves further from Marseille for the lead at the top of the Ligue 1, just to give a sense of where they are. But also continuing on with what's going on in soccer, the reigning Ligue 1 champs, Lille, are going to host Stade Reims, as the defending Ligue 1 champs are holding on to the 15th best record in the table at the moment, so a win could do them a lot of good as well. But that's everything that's going on in the world of sports today, as tomorrow the WNBA playoffs are going to get started. And without further ado, I want to thank everyone once again for listening to all this piece. I want to thank the MLB, the FIFA websites, and of course, I want to thank, I just want to thank all these sites for giving me the facts and figures that I needed. I want to thank everybody for listening to all 45 minutes of this piece. And if I butchered a lot of the names, I know I do plan on getting a lot of them right, but that's the thing about sports. You have so many good names. It's like, it's kind of a blessing that it's happening, but I do feel bad that I am like butchering the names. I do plan on getting them right. And with that said, once all of today's matchups are done, I will come back tomorrow on Thursday, September 23rd, to report from all of the games that happened today on the 22nd. So until then, I want to thank everyone once again. I hope all is well. And like I said, I can't help but wait. I can't wait for what's going to happen with the next few months of sports. It's going to be real fun. It's going to be real exciting. Thanks once again for listening to my piece. I hope all is well, and I'll catch up with more tomorrow. Peace out.